Hi, and welcome to another episode of SMECO Connects. I'm Tom Dennison. I'm filling in for our President and CEO, Sonia Cox, today. And I'm thrilled to welcome two of our distinguished employees from our Energy and Tech division today. We have Natasha and Tiffany. Before we get going, I just want to level set. This podcast is about net metering, kind of helping our customer members navigate some of the questions as it pertains to what net metering is and, a little bit more about renewable energy. So with that, Tiffany, can you just introduce yourself?
I'm Tiffany Alexander. I've been with SMECO for 7 years. I process all of the solar interconnection applications for solar customers in SMECO's service territory.
Excellent. Welcome.
Yes,
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Natasha.
Natasha Law. I've been here for 26 years almost, done a little bit of everything, and now I am the manager of the distributed energy resources, which is a little bit of everything. We handle EVs, but we also handle the net metering for SMECO.
Excellent. So what were you before your current position?
When I got started, I was a tree trimmer, and then I was a meter reader, and then I was a staking engineer. And then I switched to management and I was a functional analyst. And then I was in IT. And then I did sustainability with energy efficiency. And I liked it so much, I moved to solar. So a little bit of everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny with these podcasts, I always learn something about some of our employees and kind of where they came from and how they've arrived at their current job. So thank you for that background. Natasha, so let's just talk about what net metering is, and if you were to describe it to, say, a room full of school kids, how would you describe it?
Net metering is just how SMECO meters and bills a customer when they have solar, wind, any way they're going to alternately generate their energy that they're going to use, and it's how we credit a customer. It's essentially your meter goes forward, your meter goes in reverse. We bill you what the net of that is.
Right. So if you don't have, say, solar on your rooftop, your meter is spinning and measuring the amount of electricity you use. Mm-hmm. When you have alternative energy, whether it's a solar panel in your backyard or on your roof, that energy that's being consumed or that energy that's being produced by the solar is offsetting some of the electricity you're using in your home. And that's that kind of delta that we measure through a net metering process.
Through the AMI meter that we have. The your house if you have solar panels, 20 panels on your house, it's probably going to generate about half of what your home is going to need. During the day, a good warm day where you're not using AC and the house is just kind of there, you're generating quite a bit. Good amount of reverse. You come home, your kids want to know what's in the refrigerator for lunch, things like that. You start using more. It starts to go forward. And then that's kind of the generation and when you're back on using SMECO's grid and that forward and reverse kind of at the end of the month, you see the net of that.
Right. And so, Tiffany, when you're processing a lot of these interconnection agreements, what does that look like? What is the process that someone has to go through to get that interconnection to make sure that, I guess, it's done safely?
Mm-hmm. So the solar vendor, the solar company, submits the application on behalf of our customer member. Our process starts when the application is submitted. We do an initial review of the application, and after everything checks out on our end, we send it to our engineering department, mm-hmm. and engineering will do a more in-depth review of the application, transformers, things like that. Then it comes back to us. We do another portion of our review, and then we send it to our meters department. Our meters department will go out and do a site inspection. Because we have AMI meters, there's no need to switch out the meter any longer. So they'll do a site inspection, and if that's passed, that gives us the opportunity to send out permission to operate the system.
And really from start to finish, when a vendor submits an application, from that initial submittal to the permission to operate, it's usually about 80 to 100 days to get the permission to operate, so then you can start generating. And that's a lot of that is, because once you get your conditional approval, which usually takes about 25 days from us to do everything, engineering review and all, and give you the permission to move forward, at that point, then it kind of leaves SMECO's domain and it goes back to the customer member. And they're doing all of the installation for the solar panels, but they're also having to work with the county, because the county is going to want to, they're going to want to do an inspection. They're going to want to make sure that you're doing it to building codes and you're doing it to the engineering code. And then once that is done, they submit all of the paperwork back to us that we need from them, mainly that electrical inspection. That's an important thing. And then once we review all of that documentation and we move it to the meter department, they're going back out to make sure there's nothing in the meter base that can't be there, or if there's a placard because the disconnect switch isn't in line of sight of the meter, they want to make sure that all of that is there before we actually allow them to move forward and to start generating solar.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I think it's helpful for people to understand that these applications touch multiple parts of SMECO.
It does.
And you have to be able to make sure from an engineering standpoint that the systems are sized correctly, and most importantly, that our grid can successfully integrate with that system, to our meters department, who have to make sure that the meter is working correctly, to then our billing department is involved. And so, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's
It's a lot of departments. Yeah. I mean, and even regional services gets involved, because if there's a work with, because some of the systems, if there's a CT cabinet, if it's a commercial building or it's a larger application, sometimes you have to have a work with. The electrician says, hey, I need to do a system upgrade even on the customer side. So they're having to schedule, and so then a serviceman is going out to do the work with. So there's a lot of, it touches almost every department at SMECO. Really, It does.
Yeah, it's amazing that a lot of these, it's amazing how we have put a process in place to, I mean, it's all about helping the customer try to navigate things and, go from start to finish. So I guess, and both of you all can answer this, but when customers call in and they're interested in maybe a solar array on their house or in their backyard or whatever, what are the common themes you hear from folks when they want to get into kind of the net metering space? Tiffany, you want to talk about that?
Well, I usually will start out, if I get that question, I will start out by saying SMECO does not sell or install solar panels. Mm-hmm. And I will direct them to the internet. They're going to have to go and research for themselves. There are 45 plus solar vendors, new solar vendors popping up every day, a few going out of business. So they're going to have to research that on their own and get their own solar vendor, solar company. That's usually how I answer that question. Mm-hmm. There's really not much at that point. I feel like I can say they need to speak with somebody who does install solar.
Well, too, I mean, they may have already met with a solar developer, and they may have said, hey, this is what we can offer you. And they may want to give a call to do kind of a signal check. Yeah. And
usually when I get customers, they want to make sure, hey, is this a good buy for me? One of the things that I do tell customers, and this is because I come from the energy efficiency side, that to really get a return on investment on your solar, because it's expensive. Even if you lease it, if you buy it outright, it's an expensive proposition because that lease is 20 years. And if you're going to get a loan, or even if you're putting the cash out, most of them are usually $25,000 plus. It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Do your homework. Your return on investment is you want to have a home that's already pretty energy efficient. Mm-hmm. If you have high bills and you really notice them and your AC is running all the time, you're really going to be disappointed in solar, because all it's doing is masking the fact that you're paying a lot and energy costs. SMECO has programs, and I always tell them that SMECO has programs, do an energy audit, see where you could be more efficient. And then once those are done, then go to solar, because you'll be far happier, because that return on investment is a much shorter time frame. I tell them to go to not go to Power Clerk, go to Watt Plan. We have it on our website. You put in, you can do it as quick as you want, where you just put in your address and you put in an average bill, and it'll scan your roof, and it pops out how many panels you could have, how much energy you could save. It even gives you a graph that kind of shows you this is when you'll be generating the most, and this is when you'll be more reliant on SMECO's energy grid. And it really gives you a good gut check of, hey, what the solar vendor told me is true, or maybe they oversold me. And I think that really helps a customer guide. And I've done it myself. You can go in, it'll give you a chance to put in every KW, each monthly bill, how much you're using. And it kind of asks you some questions. Hey, do you want to do some energy efficiency programs? Or you just want to put the solar on? It tells you all of those things, and it kind of gives you a really good idea of what you're going to spend. And I think that helps customers. It kind of tells them this is a good buy, or maybe I should do something else before I go down the path of solar. Because I do think solar is beneficial, but it can be expensive. Get your house in order before you get the panels. I think it makes you happier.
Yeah, and I think that's such good advice. When Tiffany mentioned that SMECO doesn't install solar panels. We don't own solar panels to put on people's roofs or any part of their property. I think what people do think when they think about SMECO is that, hey, look, these guys are what I always say, the trusted energy advisor. And even though they get that monthly bill from us, I think it's important for our listeners and those watching us on the podcast to understand that people like Tiffany, people like Natasha are here to answer questions. And I think it's really valuable to know with Watt Plan, you can do a lot of research on your own.
Right.
You can just go on to www.smeco.coop, energy efficiency, and I think it just kind of leads you to it.
Yep.
To the solar website, not energy efficiency, but the solar side of it. And it takes you right there. And Excellent. It is nice because it breaks it down. Hey, do you want to purchase these outright? Do you want to lease? This is what you're looking at. And it kind of gives you a really good idea. And it takes it helps. It answers questions. It gives people a little bit of comfort. And there's also frequently asked questions. So and I always urge customers, go there first. Even print them out when you're talking to vendors so that because it's not terms that you deal with every day, your level of comfort, print it out. You have it then you have it, and you can just ask them the question, and you have the vendor, because then the vendor knows you've done a little bit of homework that you're not going to be taken advantage of. And I'm not here to say that vendors are there to do that, but it's a large purchase. I want people to be comfortable. I would rather talk to the customer before they get the panels than 6 months after they've gotten the panels and they're not happy because they're getting two bills because they're leasing. They're getting their solar bill and their energy bill, and they have sticker shock because they weren't expecting to pay all that.
Yeah.
It's an easier conversation at first. Once you've got the panels, it's harder to kind of help.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tiffany, back to you. How have the application processes been going recently? I mean, have numbers kind of trended down, trended up? What's the trend that you're seeing now in terms of the applications that we're getting?
Recently, the trend has gone up, I would say by half, by about 50% increase. And I believe it's because of the current administration. At the end of the year, the tax credits are going to no longer be available for people getting solar. So several people want to hurry up and get their applications in and
try to get in under that deadline for I think it's the investment tax credit.
Yep, the investment tax credit.
And that obviously helps to incentivize people to maybe purchase those panels. And so I think it's typically, is it when you get your application in, is that when the clock starts, or is it
after they get permission to operate.
Okay.
Well, I think to get the tax credit, I do know you have to have at least conditional approval.
Okay.
And that is, so that's still a good month, because I'm going to say working days, but it's still a month. So if you submit it today, you're looking at early December really just to work it through. So, the sooner the better. We've had a lot of vendors that do a lot of our solar submittals. They're reaching out, hey, can you give me a timeline? Can you tell me what we're looking at so that we know drop dead date for being able to submit and people being able to get tax credits?
Excellent. Well, that's great. I mean, it's really important, I think, for the vendors and for, their potential customers to have that understanding. I hate to put you on the spot, Natasha, but how many net meter customers do we have?
Almost 10,000.
Almost 10,000. Mm-hmm. So
most of that is residential.
Right. And I was just going to ask you, what does that look like? Is it residential rooftops or
Yes. Typically, those are the easiest, residential rooftops. I mean, we do have ground mount. You have to have land. So
Yes.
so really that limits it. Subdivisions are a lot easier to do rooftop solar. We do have commercial businesses. There's, probably about 150 that are commercial customers that are that have rooftop or ground mount solar. But it's typically residential. They see more bang for their buck when they put in solar. Our commercial customers, sometimes they have demand charges that they're trying to offset to, and solar is just not going to do that.
Exactly. So I guess kind of looking ahead, kind of where do you see net metering in the future? Obviously, in Maryland, we have a state law that dictates net metering and how the credits work, and I think that law isn't going to change. So do you see kind of that trend continuing to move forward and go upwards, or I guess we'll have to determine this tax credit thing and see how that all shakes out?
I do think the tax credit will kind of drive it. I think there'll be a little drop off once the tax credit ends and people kind of reacclimate to what this new world is going to, what the new standard is going to be. But we're already starting to see upticks in batteries.
Okay.
So I think, when you pair your solar and your battery together, there's potential for savings. Our time of use rates start to look a lot better for those types of customers because they can charge their batteries when the rates are lower, and it would, offset some of their costs. So there are going to be ways, I think, that a lot of customers are going to come around to how they can use their solar. I mean, we're thinking that, it's a net and it's just there and we're just generating when we generate and we're using SMECO's grid when we are. But batteries kind of change that a little bit.
Yeah, the batteries, I've always been told, are kind of the game changer.
Yes.
In terms of being able to produce the electricity during the sun, when the sun's out, and then storing that energy to be able to have that dispatched in the evening. Or, when it's dark outside. So has the battery technology, I guess, gotten better and the prices have come down a little bit?
It's the prices that have come down. I think the technology is good and the batteries have gotten smaller.
Okay.
But I think it's the price that was the main driver. Even 3 years ago when I first started in this particular position, we would get that, we got some batteries. It wasn't a lot. But in the last 18 months, the cost of batteries have really come down. Mm-hmm. And, a quarter of our applications are submitted with batteries now.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they're really starting to
change, I would think.
It is. It's a big change. And I think customers are excited, especially the ones that are early adopters of technology. They're excited for what batteries can do. And we're investigating other ways to use those batteries for demand response. And, we used to think a thermostat and we could control your thermostat on your house, but maybe we can also control your battery to save you money.
Oh, yeah. That's a really huge benefit, I think, for folks to understand. I guess now, kind of looking forward again, how do you think SMECO can continue to evolve? And do you think we can make any improvements to our processes or anything that might be beneficial for SMECO to do going forward?
There's always room for improvement. I think customer engagement is one of the things that we could probably we can always improve upon it. You can never be, it's 100%, we're good on customer engagement. I think having customers really understand the process, what that application process looks like. We do have customers that submit on their own. The interconnection process is tedious and hard. If you have an engineering background, sometimes it is easy, but most of us don't. It asks for, I do it every day. Some of those applications, people will ask me questions and it's like, you've stumped me. Mm-hmm. So, always trying to, kind of meet the customer where they where they are in the journey and explain to them. Sometimes handhold a little bit. That goes a long way. That goes a long way. Bit. Tiffany does a good job of it.
You're good at hand-holding, Tiffany?
I am. I try.
The customers love her.
So what does a typical hand-holding session involve?
Usually customers who are trying to do their own installation, trying to do their own application in Power Clerk, they have several questions. Well, where do I get this information? Well, where do I get this information? Well, how do I go about doing this? On our end, our jobs start when we get a completed application package.
Right.
So to talk someone through how to get that application package completed, I'm like, okay, well, you've got to go through the county. You've got to get permits for this, that, and the other. In your permits package from the county that you live in, you're going to have your one line, your site plan. And I will let people know, usually a solar vendor does this.
Right.
And gets the package available to upload to SMECO, to Power Clerk. So just talking them through how they can actually do it themselves. I've personally never done it myself, but I try because I want them to get permission to operate. I want them to be able to. And I've gone back and forth several times with different customer members who are trying to do it themselves. And they've been great. I've learned a lot. They've learned a lot over this several months. And at the end, they're so grateful that I actually took the time to take them this step by step by step. Even if it was something that I didn't know myself, I learned.
Absolutely. And I think that's the overall theme here. The theme is when people have questions about their electric bill, whether it's how much money they're spending, how much energy they're using, what drives the cost, if they want to get into the renewable space, if they want to get into the electric vehicle space, we're here to answer questions and help. And I think it's really important for people to understand the Energy and Tech Division. You're two members of that division here at SMECO. But when it comes time when people have high bill complaints, it's your department who's fielding those calls and doing the energy analysis of somebody's home and their usage and things. And then when they have questions, they can call people like Natasha and Tiffany and really get the answers to their questions and help them navigate the process. So in light of that, what did I forget? Anything that you all want to talk about that I may have skipped over, or any messages you'd like to provide to our viewership?
If you want solar, and there's a lot of customers that do, reach out to SMECO. We're here. We have so much information. We're always willing to help. That's kind of solar can to purchase it and even to lease it. It's like buying a car or buying a home. There's a lot of moving parts. We're here to help.
That's an excellent point. Tiffany?
I was going to add that the energy analysts, they are going to be the ones that you would contact us definitely for solar, but the energy analysts, they're going to be able to
really dig into a high bill.
Yeah, sure.
And they get
really maybe
complaints.
Offer certain tips, suggestions,
absolutely,
programs that are available that we offer or that our contractors offer through Empower Maryland.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, ladies, thank you. This
Thank you.
was
Thank you,
been
Tom.
this has been a lot of fun. I hope I know I learned something. I learned Natasha, maybe if I have some tree trimming help, maybe give
I
you a
did that in
call.
my early 20s, and now I'm in my early 50s. That ship has sailed.
Okay. Well, I'll remember that. This has been a pleasure. Thank you both for being on, and really thank you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
You do the same.
Awesome.